Welcome to the Paranormal Highway. Today, we're talking about super soldiers. We're going to be talking about reality that we know that is true and some myth of super soldiers. And the myth be like UFO technology, because it takes somebody to believe in UFOs or using werewolves for that to even be true. But there is some super soldiers truth throughout history that some of this stuff that when you read and study, kind of blows you away of kind of stuff that they used to try to create the ultimate super soldier. And today we got Dr. Wu and Ron from Cosmic Neighbors. So we got a full panel today, and they're gonna talk about their beliefs and what do they believe, what's real or not. So strap in, get popcorn, get soda, do whatever you got to do. Go to the mirror, the bathroom, say Bloody Mary 3 times, come back, and we're going to get this show started. All right. Now, again, like I said, people in the chat, super soldiers. There's so many different ways you could go with the word super soldier. In some people's mind, they want to go pure alien, werewolves. And those are considered myths because you got to believe in those things in the first place to believe that the government were trying to use these things as weapons. Now, reality is that history has tried to make super soldiers. Is it like Captain America is using serum? Of course, steroids. That's been there for years. Listen, let me show you guys this. Here's when you look at history, I found this cool little website, guys, about some history of governments, kings and queens try to create the greatest army that this planet has ever seen. It goes all the way back, guys. I mean, it goes back to like right here in 1740 when Frederick William became king. He tried to collect giant soldiers and tried to breed giants for his army. So he tried to create an army by breeding the biggest people so they have the biggest kids. So there's different ways of how history has tried to create super soldiers. Now, that type of super soldier will take many years, right? To see the development of these kids being huge.
Yeah, eugenics. Yeah.
Eugenics. And then when you go down through history, I mean, there's different ones. I'm not going to, some of these are about the same. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Oh, here we go. Here's another Frederick William drilled was trying to have super tall soldiers. So he believed that taller you are, the better soldier you are. So he also tried to build super soldiers by finding the tall people. And the funny thing is, Frederick William was a short person in history. And you just keep going through history. Like, there's, let me see here. Hold on. There's some good ones here. Super soldiers that have no fears, but soldiers have plenty. Oh. This is kind of interesting. To keep soldiers involved, to keep them to fight, they would feed the soldiers alcohol, beer, to keep them so they can stay and fight.
That's how the pyramids were built.
Super soldiers
paid
fiction.
them in beer.
Right here. Here we go. Soldiers have often turned to alcohol and drugs to chase away or at least dull such concerns. So like, hey Bob, you remember in the military during our time, we were in the military.
Yeah,
there were stories that nobody knows the 100% truth that in the food that you were eating, like especially during wartime, was designed so you don't have no sexual cravings.
Go saltpeter.
Saltpeter.
Yeah, they would supposedly put saltpeter in the eggs, and so it inhibits sexual arousal and whatever. It suppresses your sexual urges by eating saltpeter. There's some minute truth to it. For example, I don't condone it, but they're dog fights. You and I remember dog fights as kids growing up. We're kids, and we don't have any control over it, but there's dog fights. They used to give the dogs, they would secretly give the dogs black powder, black powder for rifle, black powder. They would put it in their food, and it makes them kind of crazy. Same kind of concept. And so, yeah.
Look at this one. In Russia, the Russian military super weapon, vodka.
Yeah.
Their soldiers vodka. And let me see here. No military in the world is as closely associated with particular drink as the Russian military is associated with vodka. It's not just one of those popular perception that turns out to be based on little more than myth and legend. Russian armies and alcohol do go way back. And it talks about Mongol army inflicted a massive defeat upon much larger Rus army at the Battle of Kalka River. Much of the credit for the victory goes to the military genius of Mongolian commanders. Whoever alcohol played a role. Much of the Rus army had gotten drunk and launched itself at the Mongol reckless in their disaster. So they drank so much alcohol, they lost a battle when they had the bigger hand, the bigger army.
Well, it's antifreeze. I mean, outside of all the conspiracies, it's antifreeze. Rasputin was famously never died, and scientists are like, well, he's nobody magical. The dude was loaded on alcohol 24/7. His blood was filled with alcohol, so he didn't freeze. That's the whole concept. The whole well, he didn't freeze because he was on alcohol.
And didn't they even give the Nazis methamphetamines?
Methamphetamines, 100%, right? Yes.
Oh, we're gonna get to the Nazi because down here, there's some good. Where is it? Let me find it for you guys about Nazis. Not the experimental on people, on what they actually used. Shh, Eliza. Oh, my dog is going crazy.
It sounds like a baby crying.
How Hitler's Olympics fueled as Nazi quest for super soldiers. Shh. I'm trying to find it right here. Benadryl brand inhaler. So basically, the Nazis were using performance-enhancing drugs like steroids. And it says here, in one of the wars, where is it? There's one of the wars here. Shh. My dog is just going crazy. Eliza, stop.
She's okay. Stop. She's cute. You can barely hear her. She's like a baby. She's actually soothing.
Fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
You should get her own cam so she could be on.
Oh, I think she's crying for this.
Oh.
There, take it. There you go. In one of because in one of the wars, I'm trying to find the exact one because it talks about how view performance enhancing. One of the wars, they said that they never seen an army so energized, all running out there like faster than the speed of light because all the German soldiers were on performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah, but what comes up has to come down.
Oh, yes.
I can only imagine their crashing would be epic. Like everybody's got a headache at the same time.
Bob.
Oh,
Okay, right here.
God.
Many German soldiers suffer all symptoms of the methamphetamine addiction.
Yeah.
So Germany during this time also became the world's #1 most addicted people to drugs because they were using to enhance their soldiers.
Yeah. Which is the custom and tradition for Northern Europe, because you had the berserkers, and the younger berserkers would eat mushrooms and other hallucinogenic whatever's property stuff, and then they would urinate into cups, and then the older berserkers would drink it because it's already been filtered through the kids' system. So they would drink the urine, and they would get this mild, whatever euphoric kind of feeling high, and the berserkers would go out and kick some ass.
Yeah.
And feel nothing.
Read this. The doctor who turned Hitler and Nazi higher-ups into drug addicts.
Oh God.
And Danny is correct about this. The first published story of a super soldier technically was Captain America.
Yeah. It was based off that idea. It was based off German eugenics.
Yes.
It was based off German eugenics because that's what they were doing. Yeah.
People got to understand this stuff. Look, I don't know what year. I don't know, Ron, you might know what year. What year was it when in Major League Baseball, 2 players both broke home runs because they were on enhancing drugs.
Oh, that was Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, I think.
Yes, they were, and of course, it's known that they took steroids and all that. And think about it. Taking steroids to hit a little ball. That just tells you that why these governments want to find one that's not with less side effects. Because that's the idea, right? To create something that has no side effects.
Well, that's when they started switching. The Americans found a loophole and was sending their athletes to South America, to the highest mountains, like Peru, like way up in the high mountains, and having them work out up there. And then because it's less oxygen and their lungs are smaller and they have to really, once their body becomes climatized, their body starts to produce and absorb, try to get as much oxygen as it can to keep up with the topography around them. But then they would take, remember, they would donate blood. You and I did the whole thing on blood doping. So they would have that super blood from working out up there in the high altitudes for a long period of time, climatized, save the blood, come back down. And when it comes down to the actual performance or whatever they're doing, they would blood dope it back in. It's theirs. And there's no drugs involved, but it's the blood itself is theirs, and it's highly oxygenated, has all this extra endorphins and hormones because the brain has to produce more to keep up more and the stamina up there in the high altitudes. So they basically blood dope themselves with their own stuff. Remember they kind of caught all them guys doing blood doping. They're like, oh no, they can't do that. That's illegal.
Look at that on the bottom, Eric. That I shared.
Oh, there it is. I got it.
That's China's version. Is Captain China.
Oh, wow.
That's.
Well,
Wait, let me see something.
Talk about China.
My God.
Look at this. Look at this story of China. Talking about China. China right here. China has done human testing to create biologically enhanced super soldier, says top U.S. official.
Of course.
So everybody is trying to create the big, the super soldier.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of scientific words for it. So, you can go back to the basic. We'll just call it natural selection. Of course, they do natural selection, and then whatever that comes out is a larger child. Then they give them the blood enhancers and all the other fun stuff, and just building super soldiers.
Now, here's another type of super soldier. I mean, I don't know if he's saying it as a joke. The $1 million man as an android, androids, Terminators. Making the ultimate robots to go out there and fight. That is considered a super soldier.
Yeah. Yep. They got him. I mean, this is a conspiracy, so don't believe this. This is just a conspiracy. But as the conspiracy goes, Barack Hussein Obama is a product of a eugenic of course, agenda where we need, and then his mother is from here and father from here. And then he goes over to a special school. It's a old Dutch school down in Indonesia, where it's all private school with all these private students of rich people. Every one of them somehow are in politics, or somehow they're involved behind the curtain. All of these people that are of a perfect mixed, they were designed.
No.
They were designed.
Now, here's a myth.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you guys. Now, this is also according to how Nazis were trying to create the super soldier. The reason I'm calling it a myth, because you have to prove, 100% that UFOs are real, even though we might think they're real.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of population who don't believe that it's real. So that's why this story here is considered a myth.
Yeah, that's how I
soldiers right here. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that related to the Nazis using alien technologies. Allegedly, a UFO crash in the Black Forest in 1936, and the Nazis reverse engineer its technology to then apply it to their own machinery. Even though I am skeptical about this, I try to keep an open mind on this, especially when you look at some of the weapons they produce at the later stage of the war.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I'm not here saying a real UFO from another planet crashed in 1936, but they said it crashed, and they took the technology and they were building into their weapons, because their weapons were, the time bomb, like their tanks. They were stronger than ours. They were faster and bigger.
Yeah, it's amazing what they pulled off.
From a German country that got nailed after the World War I, where they got stationed. They were, money was taken away. They were a broke country. To come back strong. How did they get these wonderful weapons and the money to do this all? Now, some say it was because of the alien technology. Now, that's a myth. I can't prove it.
That and they were related to the royal family in England, and one of the princes of the royal family in England was attached to the agriculture, whatever, basically the banking system. So they had the banks behind them. So, I mean, they're a small country, but it don't matter how small it is. I mean, as long as they have a bankroll, they can start producing some stuff. So somebody was giving them money. I mean, a lot of money, dude. I mean, I worked at the Museum of Flight, and I worked, you remember, Eric, remember the back part of the Museum of Flight in the World War II and World War I exhibit? Yeah. Remember all those models, the whole crew models? Remember all the Nazi technology airplanes that were never put out to release for market or for the war, but all the docents bought the schematics at auctions, Nazi schematics for original aero, whatever the hell they're going to be. And then they had them made, hundreds of airplanes, and never even entered the war. And I'm like, look at these things. Yeah. Round, weird shapes.
How did they get all that?
You remember that big old huge balloon? The big balloon in the big case, and it had like the soldiers on top, like they're riding on the top of the balloon, and below it, all kinds of cool stuff. Like, where did this come from? Wow. It's brilliant.
I mean, it's so interesting. Not all Nazis' more innovative inventions can be attributed to alien technology. Besides the advanced weaponry, they also managed to invent a chocolate bar bomb. It was made of steel with a thin covering of real chocolate, and was detonated when a piece of chocolate at the end was broken off after a delay of 7 seconds.
Yeah, they made those in Vietnam too. Yeah, basically the concept is you have a flat chocolate bar, and basically think of a piece of sandpaper in there. Right, so when you bite into it and pull it, it's pulling the paper and it causes a spark. You guys understand what I'm saying in the concept? So you bite in a candy bar and you pull it, you're pulling like a piece of sandpaper that sparks, blows up their hand, their face. Wow.
World Bigfoot Radio wrote that
Hannibal, that was the saucer.
Vero saucer designs,
Vril.
though society was on the Hannibal. I'm sorry, I'm not wearing my reading glasses. Had the smaller design. Prescott Bush was one of the Nazis' funders.
The Vril Society.
I,
Yeah.
I may have some images of that stuff because I did a few videos on the Operation High Jump.
Wow.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, the Vril Society, if you guys don't know what they are, it was a collection of females who did not cut their hair, and they were somehow connected to the Akashic records or whatever. Their minds go to an interdimensional place, and they can pull out information.
It's,
you know.
And Bob, one of those chocolate bars was sent to Winston Churchill.
Oh man!
But it was intercepted on time.
Yeah.
One of more sinister ploys was to create superhuman soldiers. DIX was a methamphetamine-based experimental performance enhancer developed by the Nazis in 1944 for military applications. Each tablet contained 5 milligrams of oxycodone, 5 milligrams of cocaine, 3 milligrams of methamphetamine.
I think I've had that. I think I've actually had that combo once.
The researcher who uncovered this project, Wolf Kemper, said that the aim was to use DIX to redefine the limits of human endurance.
Whew.
Now, Nazis doctors were enthusiastic about the result and planned to supply all German troops with the pills, but the war ended before DIX could be put into mass production, though it did see limited use among a handful of pilots.
And we see it used now. So that technology is right here.
Versions of the Hannibals that I converted to the feet is on the bottom there.
Oh, there it is.
Let's see it. Let's see it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, let me make it a little smaller so it fits in there. There you go.
Yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah.
I 3D printed one of them out. I don't know where it is, somewhere.
Which inspired the Glocka, the bell. The Glocka, the time traveling machine.
Yeah, that's this one right here.
Yeah, the Glocka.
The Glocka. They sorry about that. Give me
you're
second,
good.
guys.
You're good.
I always do that crap.
You're good.
There you
The Glocka.
go. Yep.
The Nazi bell. And it disappeared.
And when he was talking about check this out. That was when he was talking about the Vril. Bigfoot was talking about that. Yeah. These were so-called. Now, you take it for what you want with a grain of salt, but when you look at these, see the weapons on the bottom, outfitted. Now, are these legit pictures? I can't say, but
yeah.
I got a crap load of them, Eric. I'll send them to you. So if you want to do something in the future with all this,
yeah, heck yeah, do that.
I mean, everything is just so interesting.
That was Maria Orsic. I believe she was supposed to be one of
Vril, right?
Like a medium or something that talked with those people from the inner earth. I forgot what they were. They were what's those blonde aliens?
Oh, the either the Nordics or the tall whites. Yeah, there's the Nordics, there's tall whites, and then there's the Palladians. Yeah. There's a whole plethora of these guys.
Yeah.
And he wrote Sigrun on left.
Well, it's ironic though that now I don't have this memory. Now I'm just going to be honest. I always have to state that, but Betty and Barney Hill, when they were discussing their abduction, they talked about all the other aliens, but they also mentioned a German-speaking redhead with red hair and a red beard speaking German at them. Now I'm like, wow, so a German, and this is not the only abduction story that mentions somebody speaking German in the spacecraft. I'm just saying that. Now, again, debunk it. It's a myth. It's a hearsay. It's what they're saying. But it's ironic that people from America that don't know each other. They're from different backgrounds, different educations. They don't have any communication with each other in different time periods, all saying the same thing that was somebody speaking German inside the spacecraft. Huh. Weird. I don't know.
But I mean, I'm not playing devil's advocate at all. But if those Benny, that story. I mean, if they speak English mostly, maybe they heard another language and just thinking it was Germany, but it was actually a different kind of a language. I mean,
we got to remember one thing.
Or did one of them know German?
We got to remember one thing. This is very, 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 very important for Americans because Americans' minds are very limited to like McDonald's. I'm just saying it's true. The English language is mostly Germanic. So German is and was the original language for the Northern Europeans, and then they made their way down. And then English language is a combination of Latin, German, and other different languages. But German language isn't just Germany, it's Germanic. So you can hear Germanic language, and they might not be from Germany. You understand? Germany is named after Germanic language. Germanic, the Germanic people, the Northern Europeans. So just because they heard German doesn't mean they were Nazis. It just means they were old.
I mean, not everybody in the country were bad. A lot of them are just families and have kids. Sometimes they get forced to join militaries and stuff.
Yeah.
Like when we go to war, they bring the draft.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you automatically agree with what your government's doing.
Yeah, I mean, just because they heard Germanic language, we speak Germanic language now in the English language. So just throwing that out there.
Now, here's something, Bob. I want you to try to maybe explain to people because I know I actually got a couple emails because of my thumbnail. Like, they're saying, Eric, I got the idea of you're putting super soldiers on your thumbnail, but what's with the George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg, and them? I go, well, because they represent the movie Staring at Goats about psychic.
Oh, yes, Minister Goats.
Soldiers, where they were trying to bring in psychics. Can you explain more to people like what's the idea of psychics? What were they trying to do with psychics in the military?
Well, they were experimenting back in the, of course, 60s and then into the 70s with hallucinogens. They were using LSD, DMT, and all these other different things to see what they can get out of somebody, kind of how the Vril Society did it. So they weren't the first. So let's get that out of the way. And so they were looking for people that had intuition, gut instinct. They were able to astral project with their minds. So they put them into in all reality. They would have what they call a sleep chamber. And it is not many people can last more than a minute in it. And then people that can last longer usually have something that could calm themselves down that other people can't. You imagine a room, it's got like the egg crate. Ron, you know what I'm talking about? Like a sound suppressor room. Okay, so it's a sound suppressor room with a bed, and inside the bed has a saline, a heavy salted, whatever, so you don't sink into the water, you float on top. It's got a room temperature to your body temperature, and you can hear nothing but your own heartbeat. And you could, if you just move your head, you could hear your spine. So you would go insane. Most people go insane. You can't go in there because you can't stand your own sounds of your own body over and over again. You go nuts. But those that could and go past that point of threshold and calm their heart down can put themselves into a state of mild whatevers, and they can supposedly, and I use that word supposedly, astral project their mind and go to other parts of the planets, the back of the turtle, Mars, Jupiter. They can go to Venus. They can go anywhere they want as they astral project in this designed room. Now, this designed room is real. Now, that's not fake. Can they do it? I don't know. But they were supposed to be able to do it. Now, once they've learned to tap into that mindset of the Shakik, whatever records, in the movie, he was staring at a goat and the goat's heart stopped. He was able to go into the mind and then hear the sound of he's enhanced his, they gave him whatever's a mild amount of maybe hallucinating. But anyway, he's able to focus in and stop the heart of a goat. So there was a time period where they were experimenting with psychic powers, and they were learning. Even the word. This is funny, Eric. This goes back to you. I can't tell you 100% is true, but there is a lot of evidence to support that the name Jedi was in this program. They used the word, they called themselves Jedi. It was a branch of the army, PsyOps. They called themselves Jedi. And George Lucas somehow got information about it, whatever. He took the name from them, calling his guys Jedis in the movie. But they were called Jedis, be all you can be. And they did all these different PsyOp experiments. Everything from like pamphlets saying that Americans, now this is true, this ain't fake. Americans, males have larger penises. We have large, and that to them overseas in Asia, they're like, oh, that means something. That's to them, it means something important. So they were having pictures of men with larger than normal shalongs. All these psychological warfare tactics. Even a branch of that, Eric, was in World War II, where they had inflatable tanks, inflatable airplanes, fake everything, like all these inflatable anti-air guns. True. This is all part of the same little circle. It's a psyop. And that movie was kind of based off some of the research and some of the things they did in the first Gulf War, where, Eric, everyone should remember back in the day when the news report came on that, yes, they were playing the Barney song, I love you, you love me. And they were really playing this song to prisoners for 24 hours as part of the PSYOP. It was all over the news. I was like, wow, that was true. Wow. Psychological warfare.
Yeah, that would drive me nuts too.
Listening to that crap. Over and over again.
I think they even played the U.S. national anthem over and over again. I think in Guantanamo Bay they were doing that.
Yeah, as part of the same group. It's the same group, and they also, like I said, they had again they had it where they astral projecting. Supposedly they can go anywhere they could stand right next to Putin right now and poke his face in a non-physical body form. And they were supposed to be linked, this is all conspiracy, to the secret space program, where instead of using craft now, they're astral projecting to Mars, where there's bases on Mars where you have half humans and half astral projected humans just showing up from that same sleep chamber room. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
Now, what about this myth?
Yes.
I'm calling this a myth because this kind of stuff can't be proven. And this is actually an article written by the Smithsonian, but I'm not going to read the article, but it says the Nazi werewolves who terrorized elite soldiers at the end of World War II. So
yeah,
the story goes that Nazis were experimenting on regular people, not the soldiers, trying to create a werewolf type person. Like there was that one movie, Bob. I forgot that one movie that was actually more true than people was thinking. It was that one movie where it was turning. Where remember that World War II movie? They crash in the middle of the war and they get into this town. And they're experimenting on the people. They were like technically turning into zombies.
Zombies, yeah.
But the storyline idea was that soldiers used to go to these towns and find out they were experimenting and they were trying to create like Captain America soldiers and werewolves.
They actually were doing that. Now, Operation Werewolf, there's two sides to it. There's one that's propaganda and the other one that's real. There was, in fact, yes, an Operation Werewolf, and they were specifically put together for just in case if the war doesn't go the way of Germany and they're losing. And the idea of Operation Werewolf was for a man to go into a civilian garb and infiltrate, say, Canada. Like, so a Nazi will go to Canada and then somehow join the Canadian military. And they infiltrate inside of American and opposition troops and also higher parts of the government. So there's even a conspiracy, and I use that word, that there are in fact Nazis in the government. Now we know that from Operation Paperclip.
And I do want to make a correction.
Yeah.
World Bigfoot Radio is correct. They weren't werewolves. They were guerrilla fighting called werewolves. And he's absolutely right. But what I was getting at is they tried to create their own werewolves type people.
Well, they did, yeah.
Super soldiers.
Yeah, they were playing with DNA. The idea was they had the first concept based off of eugenics. If you guys know what that means they're tampering around with DNA in people's genetics. What we have now, and I got to be careful when I say this, when you get your shots for whatever this thing is going around, you're getting a dose of RNA. RNA is the IKEA plans on how to make the cabinet. You have a cabinet, which is the DNA. You see the cabinet, it's already made. You see it as its DNA, put it together. But the RNA is the instructions on how to put it together. So the Nazis were the first one to start tampering with RNA, the instruction manuals for DNA. They were trying to reconstruct, using RNA, a new super soldier. And we have that in effect presently. So all of the shots that you get, I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying that they're using RNA, not DNA. RNA, which is it's a new instruction manual for your human body. And Nazis were doing this. And you theoretically, and I throw this word out loosely, theoretically, using RNA, is it possible to reconstruct a human to look like a werewolf? Because you're tampering with the instruction manual.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. I hope people didn't think I was thinking of a dog wolf, like a hairy wolf. But what I was trying to mean is they were trying to create the ultimate as the strength of what you think a werewolf would be. Yeah. That's why the special forces were called werewolf, because of strength, strong.
Yeah, there's two parts. That's why I always say there's two parts to that. They're both true, though. They're both separate, but true. One is a group that was actually the werewolves. And then the other one is them playing with RNA, trying to make werewolves or trying to make a human beast creature, tampering with their RNA. And we're doing it now. And it's effective, I guess.
What do they call it? The mRNA?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. They're tampering without instruction manual. That's a good way to put it.
Your IKEA instructions, man. They're just rewriting the cabinet. Like, I didn't buy this cabinet.
And just like in the IKEA stuff, you're always missing a screw here.
You're always missing a screw. There's always something missing. There's always a screw up somewhere because you're tampering with something that nature put together. Humans are messing with they're getting the instruction now because we can map the genome now 100%. We know if you have Neanderthal blood. Everyone's doing ME, or was it ME23? Eric, you've done it. Everyone's doing genetics are just now they're just playing with human instructions. It's now the mRNA. Oh, we can do all of this now.
Now they're just trying to create where there's no side effects. I mean, that's the biggest problem. There's side effects with everything. Now, I want to ask you both here. Because Bob, you know about planes because you worked in Museum of Flight. And Ron, you know about, you studied different shapes of planes and UFOs and all that. Of course, throughout history, they say, Germans, all countries have somehow gotten UFO technology to build better weapons, super soldiers or whatever. Now, Ron, have you guys seen any planes that came out like way more in advance that there's no way could jump that ahead if it wasn't for UFO technology? If that makes sense?
Yeah, go for it, Ron.
The only thing I could think of, but I don't know if I could attribute it to aliens, but like what was ahead of his time was the SR-71.
Yeah.
What's that plane called? I want to look it up. What's it called?
The SR-71 Blackbird.
The Blackbird.
One that Jimmy Boy Goodall always talks about. That was one he was like a mechanic and worked on for many years. He was instrumental in that program.
I worked on it. I was on it. I used to climb all over the Blackbird. I know all about the Blackbird. Yeah, I used to climb. I know its engines inside and out.
You're talking about plane from back then that flew at like 100,000 feet at Mach 3. way back when. I don't know when that was. Was it in the 50s, the 60s, or something like that? This plane?
60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about this? Operation Paperclip gave us a lot of their tech.
That gave us a lot of their scientists.
It gave us all their scientists.
Yeah, that's where Werner von Braun and all of them came from.
And they're still here. And Eric, you and I don't want to say his name on the other guy that helped us bury our dad. I don't want to say his name, but he worked for the. He was a high-ranking officer. He worked for his particular command down in down south. You know what I'm talking about?
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. But he and I would go hiking on the Juan de Fuca Trail. We used to be hiking together every year, and he was telling me that on that base you still have them, and they still speak fluent German. And these are the sons and daughters of the original Operation Paperclip people that were, what you would say, nepotism into the program of NASA and aerospace. Nepotism, you guys know what that means? A nephew, everybody hooks each other up, kind of a thing. Pat on the back, you helped up your nephew. Anyway, through nepotism, they still speak German. And Eric, you didn't even know this, but out in San Juan Islands, a lot of them lived there and retired there from the original Operation Paperclip people on Friday Harbor. All the way, we went.
Island don't like a lot of people on their island either.
No, and they're there, and I didn't believe it. He told me about it. I wanted to debunk it, so we took scooters out to Friday Island, and we rode around, and we went way in the back. I said, "Oh my God, there is a Nazi eagle on the front of this guy's house." And there's like all this, but it's not no swastikas or anything. But this is just the more of the eagles and more of the symbolic stuff from Operation Paperclip. And I go, wow, they are here. They are still around. He's not lying. They're here. And they're nepotized right back into the same aerospace program. Wow.
Remember the movie Firefox with Clint Eastwood?
Yeah, I think
where he had to break into Russia to steal a futuristic jet. I forget what model was that jet that he had to try to steal in that movie.
I think it was fake. I don't think it was a real. I think it was a knockoff from the.
I was like trying to remember. Was it based on a they
the Blackbird? It was based off the Blackbird. See, the Blackbird.
That's what I was wondering. Was it based on the Blackbird?
No, the Blackbird, famously, people understand, it's not something that shoots. It doesn't have a weaponry system. It has a camera system, because I was all up inside of it. It has a camera system. Plane. Yeah, it's a spy plane. There's two. You had a pilot. It's real cramped. You got two little guys. You got one pilot, and you got a cameraman in the back. And the super significance is that, number one, it goes really fast, like Ron said. And number two is radar bounces off of it. Understand, it's invisible. It's like it's Wonder Woman, but for real. It's the skin, and it's amazing the way the skin is and the way it's designed is that the radars bounce off of it. You can't see it. You can't see this thing up there. Now, I guess there's other ways later on they had to find out that they could see it. Like they had a couple of guys that are suspicious flying around, and you have to visually spot it. But for the most part, radars bounce right off of it. And they fly at a certain altitude. Like they can go way up. And they don't get seen. The Blackbird is amazing, a piece of technology. It's like, how did you figure out, like Ron was saying, how is it significant? It's the radar system, how it bounces off of it. The skin. How is that possible? That is an amazing technology.
It was.
I found the picture of the jet they're supposed to use in that movie. It was the MiG-31.
Oh yeah!
All you need to know about the most awesome fictional advanced high-speed interceptor ever.
Yeah, it looks like the Blackbird if you stripped off some of the things.
I know, right?
Well, it still has the same skin. And the idea of it is that it's okay. We're just going to say the basic words. It's a Wonder Woman's plane. Wonder Woman had an invisible plane. And so it's basically Wonder Woman's plane. It's invisible. It's invisible to radar. That's why it's significant. And that's why it is a good choice for the most amazing and real life technology. We have evidence for, and we have all the stuff for it. And to this day, you're like, how did you figure out to be invisible like that? I mean, how is that possible?
Now, Roger Blair wrote, I don't know how true it is, but I read an article where over in Asia, China, I think, had ejected human brain cells into a monkey embryos and let them grow so long before stopping the experiment.
Well, yeah. I mean, we do that now. I mean, you got America's got mice running around with ears on the back of them because they're using the genetic, whatever programming to make ear. They start with a stem cell. It's an unprogrammed cell. It's basically an unprogrammed cell, and then you enter into the stem cell information, the mRNA, the instruction manual. So you whip out the old Kia. You got a stem cell. I'm going to turn you into a cabinet. Then the next thing you know, you have an ear growing on the back of a. So they've been, right now they have the technology to have a baby from 3 donors, 3 separate. They've done it. So China's way behind. Americans have already got a baby with 3 different parents' DNA. We know it now. The human genome has been mapped. Everything is now on the table. That's why they're playing with the mRNA, because now they're just playing. Now they're just fucking playing with people. I don't know what to say.
Let me ask this. I'll start with Ron. As right now, you use our government, any other government, with the technology we're up to now, what kind of, in your opinion, what kind of super soldier you think they're trying to build now? Like you think they're trying to use more Terminator style robots in a way, or do you think they're still trying to use enhance serum or anything?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing something internally, but I think they're probably building more technology of shells. I forgot, what do you call those? Like the exoskeletons?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
With the hydraulics and all the wonderful,
Yeah, and having all that kind of from like Avatar type of like, womp womp.
They got them. They got them.
But I'm sure they like, I mean, why wouldn't they? But I don't know if it's like kind of like Frankenstein type of stuff where, they're just trying to build them out. But who knows? I think they're going more of the tech route.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, though.
Now, World Benefit Radio wrote CIA absorbed part of the World War II German intelligence network run by General Reinhard Gladden in Russia, and shortly after they took over.
Well, the intelligence department, when I was in the military, that was just the 90s. You had some. Now we have private contractors. You have private contractors. And here's the funny thing about private contractors when it comes down to anything like that. They always start with the word black. You had black water. Now you've got black rock. And there's all these names that start with black. And if you look up the definition for any operation that starts with black, it usually has an ominous tone to it. It's ironic they all start with black. Now, for example, right now, it's the same thing. They had Burning Man. And Burning Man, everybody was having problems with the storm and all that fun stuff. They thought that they seeded the clouds. Maybe they did. I don't know. Black Rock is now handling the security and certain cleanup operations and all that stuff. This is a
Black Rock is
everywhere, dude. It's like I can't.
Basically, I think they own like 70+% of whether it's shares of this or that company.
Yeah, you throw a rock.
Bad news.
Throw a rock and hit Black Rock.
Black Rock is black, but it doesn't rock.
But yeah, it's on the same subject though. When it comes to technologies and certain things, they just seem to dominate everything at this moment. I've been researching. I'm like, I can't. Again, the old joke is you can't throw a rock without hitting Black Rock, right? It's like, oh, they're everywhere. Go for it.
No, Danny wrote, "Hey, I was a
on, Robert.
private contractor for the
share.
government. Watch it. Will work for Black Knight."
The Black Knight. Yes, the Black Knight.
This guy. So this is in the beginning. James Forrestal, the first Secretary of Defense. He's the one where I believe after is when they came out and built. I could be wrong. I don't know if it was the CIA or something, but this man was the one that believed, like, he was getting information. He knew obviously a lot of. Remember with going back to Operation High Jump and everything.
Yeah,
and he wanted to be frank, like, and be more transparent and talk. So they sent him to the hospital. That hospital you see back there in the picture.
Yeah.
It said that he was having mental episodes. Now, this is the Secretary of Defense, right? Great shape and everything. And he accidentally fell out the window.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about it. He just fell out of the window.
Yeah. Go read it right down there on the bottom. And that was after the whole, after the war, after Roswell and all that stuff. And it's very interesting, James Forrestal. That's something to talk about soon. Like,
and that's hard to do. Story. That's hard to do because, it's safety. So like you have children, everyone, so the windows are high. So you have to go up to their waist up to your waist. You have to climb up and then, how do you fall out?
And it was rumored that he was talking with people in the hospital, nursing and all that stuff. And that's when this accident happened.
Yeah. Because that's what
before they forced him into here, right?
Yeah.
Perfect sound in mind, making decisions for the country, everything. And all of a sudden he turned into a nut and fell out a window.
Yeah, that's how it always works.
We're going to go a little science fiction here. And I'm not a person that follows this science fiction that alien race are using humans, taking humans to other planets to fight their war. And you hear this all over. I'm serious. I even went on another channel, interview a guy was saying this, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, now this is my opinion, thinking, well, if aliens life got technology to come here, which I believe they do, they don't need us to fight their war. If they got better technology than us, unless they're taking us and experimenting on us to create us their super soldier to fight their war. I don't know. It's a little science fiction, but I'm curious, Dr. Wu, what do you think of that?
Well, and this is all theory. It just kind of bounces around with even religion and playing. So the way the narrative goes, humans have free will. Now, not every, like Ron was talking about, not every alien's going to be like a human. Now, they might be a hive mind, and they might be logic. They might be pure logic. They don't have free will thought. In other words, I'm not connected to you or Ron. My mind is on my own. We both could get into a big brawl, and we're not going to think with each other's brains going back and forth. We just independently have our own ideas. We could argue. They can't. They can't argue because they're all hive mind, kind of like the sci-fi. So to have an alien force that also has an independent mind, free will, you would have to recruit somebody that has the same crazy head. It'd be human. You can't, other words, the little grays are all hive mind. They're all the same little fucking working machine. They're all logical. They can't think outside of the box. So it would make sense that you would have somebody with an independent thought to take and put into the Last Starfighter. Remember, like the Last Starfighter?
Yeah.
You would have to recruit somebody with an independent mind because not every species in the multiverse, the whatever verse, is going to be independent thinkings. Ants all think together in a group. Birds think together in all nature. They all think together in a group. Even wolves will start to follow the alpha male, and they'll automatically kind of tune in mentally with the rest of the herd. And humans won't. Humans will backstab another man in seconds. A human is a disgusting animal that is rotten to the core, but it's our gift. And we have the right to do that and be that way. You have the right to be an asshole. So they might be looking for assholes.
Well, I guess
in simple, your precious little sweetheart snoring. Is that what I hear?
Yeah,
Is
I can
that
hear
her
the dog story.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're right. I guess like the AI is what it's programmed to do.
Yeah.
Where a human can actually think outside the box.
Outside the box.
Where a computer is going to stick to what it's been told.
Yeah.
By human.
Yeah. So there's a benefit, if you believe in a God, to being an asshole. Because you're more valuable. If everybody's walking in a circle, you stop and say, I feel stupid for doing this. And you have the right to walk out of the circle and go grab a cold beer and a smoke. I don't know what you want to do, grab a Coke. But you have that idea.
You know what? And going further on what you were talking about before, because you're Mr. Analogy, which I love. But like with the RNA that you were talking about, so the people would understand is think of it in terms of computer programming.
Yeah.
Right. You're just gonna, if you want the program to make the screen go black, right, you will put that code in. And if you want, let's make it gray, you just edit that code like that. That's what they're doing with this RNA stuff.
Yep. Like I researched the whole thing.
Yeah. It's just, in reality, they're trying to play God.
Yeah, that's exactly it. There's even biologists that are opposed to it. They're like, "Whoa, you're tampering in the RNA? Nah. That's against nature. There's a natural selection involved. There's somebody falling in love involved. There's a divorce. There's all these emotionals and things to create. You fell in love with this very large lady, and for some reason, you like her, and you have babies. It's natural selection. It's natural." Or you fell in love with a smaller gal, and it's natural selection. Whatever your independently free will mind goes, and whatever your asshole horniness drives you to, whatever you do, you create. As in, eugenics is all programmed, all perfect, and with the RNA, mRNA, and all the RNAs, they're actually designing a human. They're designing your instructions.
I can see the future of everybody looking lobotomized.
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody just walking around like this. Like that. Just,
everybody's related. Yeah. And now they're working with artificial cells. They're actually trying to create life with artificial cells. And they say, I can't see the evidence for it, but they're saying it's effective. They've made artificial cell things,
I just read that, not that, I don't know if it's related, but I don't know if I saved it, but it was where I think they just now are able to grow a kidney in a pig, a human kidney.
Yeah. Yep. I saw that. I saw that article. I read all them things. Yeah. They've now they're moving into what's ironic, because pigs and humans are similar. And people are like, no, we're not. Yes, we are. That's why you have
anatomy class. Very, very similar.
Very similar. And there was even, now this is a myth, guys. This is not true. This is a myth. But there was this conspiracy that in ancient time, pigs were not. That's why we don't eat them. That's why they say they don't eat pigs, because pigs were specifically grown to be organ transplant growers, like crop. And then you were a recipient. So you could have this human style liver from the pig. Pigs have become like a harvesting creature for humans. This was a theory from way, way, way in the past. And then, of course, we lost that technology, and they became feral, and then they became boars or whatever. But they're going back to that original idea of, pigs can, in fact, grow human organs. Because they're playing with their RNA. And DNA. Yeah.
Well, let's do this. Take away technology.
Yeah.
Do we believe that it doesn't matter, any country, that they're actually physically experimenting, not on animals, on people still, to create a super soldier?
Well, they do that again now. There's a new thing going around where I got to look into it more. Again, it's a myth, but there's paperwork for it, that there's prisoners in prison, and they're going to give them a pill, and the pill is supposed to be worth 15 years. I'm like, huh? What is this about? New experimentation. They experiment on prisoners. Chinese experiment on their prisoners. Russia experiments on they had the that sleep program, whatever, in Russia. I don't know. It's a myth where they gave them amphetamine kind of a thing, and they didn't sleep for like 2 weeks. You guys hear about that? The famous sleep experiment in Russia, where it's terrifying. Well, they didn't.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, well, they didn't sleep, and then supposedly these prisoners went into some euphoric mindset where they were like talking to the air, where they were talking to other entities, and they didn't care about their body anymore. They didn't eat, they didn't drink. They had to force them. They didn't want food. They were fighting against eating. They were eating their own flesh. They were eating their own arms and hands, and they were bleeding out and dying of their own self wounds because they didn't sleep. And they were, anyway. Experimentation, like Eric said, on humans has been going on, and it continues to this day. Always does, always will.
What about America? You think we are doing that in America?
Absolutely, yes. we took Operation Paperclip. You don't think them guys just sit around just making rockets every day? They figured that technology out.
I'm talking about them. I'm talking about like right now.
Yeah, I think so. Remember, Operation Paperclip, the people are still here. The descendants are here. The nepotized into the new field. I saw the evidence for it. They're here. And I talked to somebody that we both know that they're here. So those experimentations are, in fact, going on presently, yes. With human, and they're doing it now on a mass scale with, as Ron says, RNA. That is experimentation. That is 100% red flag. I mean, there's no debate on it. Like, what is it? RNA all of a sudden just came out in 2019 of like, whoa, on a mass scale, and they're gonna do it again.
Well, see,
that's why you had people in the population that have different blood types and certain biology makeups and like their genomes, that it affects people differently. You have a lot of people with heart problems. You have people that aren't affected. There's a lot that we don't just know yet. We may find out 10 years from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they can say all they want. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. That's the way they knock things down. They want you to sound like and look like a moron.
Yeah.
And so everybody else could ridicule you so that it doesn't get spoken about, you know? But the fact is, we don't know what the hell it does. It wasn't without saying the word, it wasn't a vat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't tested correctly within the proper channels over and over again, because things have to be tested, retested, and tested again.
Tens of millions of guinea pigs. That's what we were.
And we continue to be, because they're still using the RNA technology. They have enough
people
success.
People are stupid also, to be honest with you. And that's the bottom line, how I'm going to say it, because when things get said, they just go, And actually, I got to take that back. They're not stupid, because they use fear to get people. They scare people to death, and then people,
Yeah, they inflate the papers. Well, there's 1,000. Eric and I did an experiment, and this is outside. I want to debunk. So Eric and I did an experiment, and Eric would type in the number of deaths. Just Eric would have a random number. I don't want to say the word, the K, or the C word.
Yeah.
So Eric would type in the C word, and just we're like picking on the audience, pick a number, and Eric types in C word number deaths. And there would be whole articles with that specific amount of people that died. I go, Eric, pick another number. You remember that?
Yeah.
Eric, pick another number. And everyone's just giving random numbers. And we would go to Google, and there it is, a whole article with that number that we picked. It was like you couldn't not get an answer for that number, which is telling me there's an algorithm AI system running all of Google and pretty much the entire internet. Internet's dead. It's not alive anymore. But you can put in any number you want and it comes up. So that tells me that that's not news. That's generated. Eric would just type
Scott
it in.
Remembers that when we did that on the channel.
Yes. So you guys can go right now. Debunk me. Just debunk Ron, debunk Eric. Go there, type in C
we know
and a
they
number.
It might not work now, but
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it does.
Trying to bring it back is getting close to 2024, so it's probably working again. They probably reactivated
They
it.
probably reactivated it because so whatever number you have and you fear that specific number, you type it in and it'll be there with a complete sentence, whole context, a name of a town with the amount these amount of people died, a whole story for you to ingest.
I forgot about this.
Yeah,
World Different Radio brought this up. I forgot about this. Who had the television first? World War II Germany. What country picked it up and used it to brainwash everyone in their country? He is correct. Using television news channels to make you think a certain way, to force you to think a certain way. Because when you hear something so many times, you start to believe that it's true.
Yeah. And you hear so many times, and other stuff you don't get to hear because they don't let you hear it. So when you just keep hearing this one thing, that got to be the truth.
Yeah.
Like that, right? And it's called propaganda.
Well, we have a new thing now. There's a new branch that I talked about on my other show. This is not a myth. There's a new branch of the intelligence department specifically signed by the government right now, presently. They're a private contract, independent intelligence department that are going out and muting. They're muting fake news, as they call it, fake news, fake propaganda information. They're going after deep fakes. But my show, I got muted for 36 minutes, and Danny Staton told me, I go, what are you talking about? So I contacted YouTube, and they says, we don't have any part of that. That's part of the new policy from the United States government. I go, so you're suppressing free speech.
Censorship.
You're censoring me for 36 minutes. I was talking about something for 36 minutes, and the video's there, but the audio's gone. I go, oh my God. And then I went out and found out there's other channels that show's going on, and all of a sudden they got a 15-minute gap of censorship. They were pure flat air, dead air.
And they have everything to do with it. All that. They all have everything to do with it. It's called censorship.
Yeah, and it's signed in. It's signed. It's part of the United States military's industrial complex intelligence department through a private contract. And that's what we have so many intelligence departments right now. I'm like, I ain't never seen someone. And I was on an intelligence ship, so I know about intelligence. So I'm like, wow, man, I've never heard of this group. Like Eric joke about like the Pentagon Secret Army. What Pentagon Secret Army? There's 20,000 independent people that are part of the Pentagon Secret Army. Then there's ATAP. What is this? And then there's another group, and then another group, and then another group.
Yeah. I'm telling you, they're going to run out of acronyms soon.
They're running out of acronyms. Yeah. I was like, this can't be real, man. How many groups? Now, I would have never believed it unless my video got censored for 36 minutes. I'm like, it really did have a cut gap. And YouTube's like, we didn't do it. Okay.
You know, that's sad. That's sad because I don't know what the law is called. There was a law put in place for news channels. And people
Fifth Amendment.
There's a law that was put in place for the news channels that a network has to have a news channel that is about the news and not about ratings at all.
Yeah.
At all. But we all know it is about the ratings. They don't care to give you the actual news, whatever sells. But they're not supposed to, by law, they're supposed to give you the real news and nothing. The ratings should not matter.
What did that CNN producer get caught saying on tape, right? Remember when they had that death count up and he said, well, fear sells. That's it.
Yeah, these guys
and this was one of the producers and I always thought of that is like really, you guys have a death counter on your channel 24/7 showing how many people died like that. Now, what would be the purpose of that? To keep everybody informed how many people died? No, to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah,
that's it.
It goes back to the same concept when Eric and I did the experiment where you just put in any number for death count. Like this, Eric, pick a number. And Eric is like, I don't know. What do you guys feel like in the sidebar? Let's do 127. Tick, 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 tick.
Now, Bob, you're in Europe.
Yeah.
Because somebody wrote, news in the UK is run by government and M15 MT6. What does he mean by that?
Well, the MI5, which is what they call a Mandela effect. There was no MI5 ever. That's just a local. That's a local spy. That's a spy within.
Kind of like the CIA over there.
Yeah. It's like, well, CIA goes outside of the United States. FBI stay in the United States. Well, England now has the MI5s. Now they're talking about BBC. Now the BBC is the only network in Britain, and they run 100% of everything. And you got to pay. Remember, I was telling you about the BBC tax. Everybody has to pay tax, or you will go to jail. You will go to jail for not paying your BBC tax.
They'll come to your house and actually
come to your house, knock on your door, and
pay for that tax. They'll
With a
actually
billy
go to your
club.
house, physically
Take you
take
to
your TV, take
stand-
whatever the equal value of the taxes, and
everything out of your house, and have a guy with a clipboard taking your stuff. And it's true. I was there. I saw it, and they even have a reality show on it. And again, the BBC runs everything, so there is no change up in networks. There is no. It's all run by the same people. Now, again, everything as Ron was joking about is Black Rock seems to probably owns the networks now. Since they seem to own everything at the moment. Now, this is my new research toy, and I can't confirm it, but it seems pretty solid at the moment. It's plausible that they might own all the networks now. They're running everything, but I'm not going to go there because there's always independent people. But Europe is pretty much owned and run, and their news is suppressed really bad. Like, it's bad. I was watching news out of Israel. I had to try to find news out of it. They seemed to be somewhat independent, but not as much. But they were the closest thing I can get for some kind of news. But even them, they were being controlled and oppositioned, and everybody's strong armed. Everyone's reading the same. Remember the teleprompter? We joke about Ron Burgundy. He just reads whatever's on the teleprompter. Doesn't matter what it is. These guys are all actors now. It's just actors.
Check this out. Just a short one real quick. BlackRock owns 18% of Fox, 16% of CBS, 13% of Comcast, 12% of Disney, 12% of News Corp. News Corp is like what you gotta see what's on the News Corp umbrella. Is so many more, and that's just some that are listed, and that's just like the top of the pinhead of what they own.
Yeah. So other words, other words for you guys don't understand is they have somebody on the board. So there's a guy in a black suit. We're gonna make a joke about it. There's the man in black sitting there with a black fedora, black suit, sitting on the board of all the networks. Just one guy representing Black Rock. I don't like the idea. Okay, votes up. He looks at everybody in an intimidating way. I don't think it should go this way. There's that one fucking guy. It's always they even had. I got to go into conspiracies because I got to be real careful. But September 11th is coming up, and they have all this new footage. Strange new footage I've never seen of these people being interviewed on the street. And I'm like, every one of them has this guy in a black suit standing close to him in some proximity that kind of gives him a dirty look. I'm like, check this dude out. He's in there's a different guy in a suit that's double dog daring everybody in every freaking thing now. I'm like, who is this? Is this a time traveler? Did they go back in time and manipulate everything? Is there a black man in black in every part of anything that goes on now? Now, again, conspiracy, and we go back to Black Rock. Is Black Rock, in fact, the Men in Black?
It's not talking about brainwashing, super soldier, whatever. Now, I'm going to use Canada on this one. Now, is this a good thing that Canada is doing this, or is it more brainwashing? What I mean is, in Canada, for example, like if you have a YouTube channel and you're Canadian, for you to get your channels be pushed out more, you have to play 70% of stuff that's in Canada. Music stations in Canada, 70% of their music has to be Canadian. You think they do that on purpose, saying that we want to push the Canadian culture, or do they want to get people not brainwashed by American way?
It might be a combination of both or multiple different things. Again, with this whole I'm back to the conspiracy with the Black Rock. Maybe there's a guy in a dark suit sitting up there in Canada who's saying, okay, as an experiment goes, we need to try this. Another guy sitting in the pharmaceutical thing saying, as an experiment goes, we need to push the RNA medicines. And another place, there's a guy sitting in a black suit at a board, man, like they're all part of the board. We need to try this out here as a social experiment. I'm seeing more, as an anthropologist, I'm seeing social experiments. And now people are saying, what do you mean? Well, number one, Budweiser was the number one beer, and they're not stupid. They've been on top forever. They're not stupid, so you would not have that situation where this particular person was on the can, and it would obviously 100% bring down the sales of Bud Light. Okay, I'm not saying against, but I'm just saying
we all know what you're talking about.
But it to see what reactions you get from the people with this experiment. Obviously, it was an experiment. Now, was there a man in the black suit saying we need to try an experiment with this? I want to see what the social norms is for people accepting this type of lifestyle. Put it on the beer can. You're gonna lose sales. You're gonna lose a lot of money. But Black Rock owns tons. They got billions and trillions of dollars. They don't care if they lose some money from a beer place. It's the experiment they were after. And
because you know what? As that stuff fell down, the shares fell down there. The other ones that picked up the slack on the other comes, BlackRock owns that too.
Yeah, right. So it don't matter.
So BlackRock is a company that most people never heard of. That's it. They own almost everything.
Now, again, I add my own conspiracy spin to it, and it does not have weight at all. But you know, it's the man in black from Black Rock. Always the names with the black starts at the beginning. And if you look up the name Black on anything in whatever dictionary, it'll come up as ominous. So it's ominous. If you just add black to it, it's an ominous situation, an ominous person, an ominous company, black. You know, and then so all of these things. I go, this is obviously a social experiment. I can clearly see it because this is a suicide mission. Doing what they did, you know, I see that experiment going on everything. Everything is an experiment right now. You said, Eric, back to Canada. Isn't it weird? It seems more like a social experiment, no different than the Bud Light can.
Well,
Canadians doing their own.
China will only play like 20% of American movies in their country.
Yeah,
you know, they have a limit of, but not in America. Whoever makes us money will show.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever makes money.
You're right, because Budweiser also, the company itself owns a lot of these different other kind of beers.
Yeah, because they're not going to lose it. Yeah.
Like Ron was saying, when you buy this other beer, it's probably owned by Budweiser, not just the black company, but Budweiser owns more than just Budweiser.
Yeah, I see an intelligence in it. That's what I'm trying to say. There is an intelligence in it, and there is an experiment going on. It's the same thing in sociology. It's the same thing in anthropology. You're just doing a poll. You're just doing experiments. You're starting a curve. You're checking. Hey, man, I'm gonna sell some escargot, and it goes for thousands of dollars. Now we're gonna put a particular person on the can of the escargot. I want to see how it sells now. So you have a particular person of a lifestyle on top of the escargot can.
To see where the public is leaning, where their mentality is, and where the scales.
Data. Now, if I was an invading force,
read this. Budweiser just got $100 million bailout from Bill Gates.
Well, sure, I get. You know, that's just part of the reverse propaganda. You know, to kind of keep the game going on that. But the fact is, the data was already done, and as if I were a foreign invader, and I was a strategist, before I invaded, I want to know where the mindset. I need to know how humans think. So let's start with the Bud cans. All the Okies and rednecks, and myself included, I love Bud Light, and so let's see how people react. Now I'm fine. I love the cheaper prices. I love it. I love getting a cheap beer. I'm winning, but anyway, people aren't. And Ted Nugent with the machine gun, you know, just added to the whole thing.
Well,
data.
Wasn't it Kid Rock who started it off? But
yeah, Kid Rock. So appropriate when he himself has and also communes in that circle with people of that lifestyle. He's got no problems with them. He's in the industry with them. They're all over the industry. He's performed with Boy George, or probably met him and had a drink, and there's no problem with him with it. He went along with the game for the data. Everything I see now is data. It's data. It's something collecting information on the human race, presently human race. It is information.
Well,
and it goes.
Isn't that the argument that America is saying about TikTok, or am I wrong? That the China is using that information to study how we are
for data. I've already experienced that.
And also, a lot of these companies are dumbing down of America or other of the population, because have you noticed something? Right. Let's use YouTube for this. Right. Like, if you remember back when you're watching videos all the time, this, that, everything, and when you would open up YouTube, you would see your recommended videos, your feed.
Yes.
Right. And next thing you know, you end up going like, why am I watching tornadoes all of a sudden? And now you're getting recommended stuff little by little. They're like tuning out the stuff that that you want to be fed, and they start feeding you other stuff, and next thing you know, you're watching all this stuff that you've never watched before, never had an interest in, and then you already forget of the other interests you had on there of what was always being fed to you.
Yeah,
like
data.
That. Because the number one commodity or the number one product in this whole thing is in ads, isn't this? It's like he said, we are the product.
You are the product. That's why they did all the. There was this. Eric also did it. There was this mass push. 50% off of 20, or was it 23andMe? Get your DNA checked. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, everybody's DNA checked. Now, I did a little bit of digging, and I found out that Google, the owner of Google, is married, and he has a sister-in-law that is, in fact, in charge and running 23andMe.
I thought that was Facebook.
No, I think that was Google.
Was it Google?
Yeah, so Google. Well, I'm sure they're all related, by the way. But what I found, okay, the owner of Google's wife, his sister-in-law, which means he has a massive, and they're Polish, and he's Russian. Okay, so he's a Russian owner. The Russian owner. He's a Russian owner, and then his wife is Polish. Nothing wrong with this. And his sister-in-law runs 23andMe, and all of a sudden, 50% off everybody I walked into. Hey, man, did you get your DNA test? I'm like, no, did you? And then all of a sudden, everyone's Ancestry.com. You still see it on your thing. It comes up.
Database of everybody's DNA.
I see somebody write something in the chat, and I think this is a Ron's question about privacy. Ron, Dogman wrote VPN. Don't trust them. How do you feel about these VPNs that supposedly give you another IP so they can't find you?
Well, here's the deal with them, right? So there's one VPN that I do trust. Well, not trust, but the reason I go with them, I don't trust any of these companies, but it's ExpressVPN. And I'll tell you the reason why. Is because where they're located, right? They're in that outlaw area where they're not subject to any of these government laws where they have to provide the data and all that. I could find a thing for you. I mean, ultimately, if push came to shove, governments are going to get whatever they want, take it by force or whatever. But like if you have, like, let's say, without using the name so you don't get in trouble, like let's say Acme VPN that's located here, they will have to produce, if like let's say something goes on, they want to look into something, they'll have to produce and like the information on everybody. It's kind of like, like with gambling. You know how they have those boats that go out into international waters?
Yes.
And now you're not subject to a certain like that.
Maritime law.
That's what ExpressVPN is. They're in something similar to that, where they're like in a certain territory that, it's much more difficult for
that makes sense.
anything. So
maritime law.
Like if you get a court order that forces you to into a place, but if you're in a place that you have no, the judge has no power,
anything like that.
Court order doesn't do shit for you.
Yeah, what he's saying is, guys, back in the day when New York was still young, it was called New Amsterdam. And for some reason, they made boxing illegal. It was too bad. You can't have boxing anymore. They're frowned on. Nobody can box. However, what they did was they moved a platform out into the water, and they had the boxing tournaments on the water because of maritime law. They're out of jurisdiction. Yeah, same thing. Same thing.
Now he wrote, but VPN, leave your phone open to all UR info. Don't trust it. It's a smoke screen to give your
anything.
info
Here's
open.
the deal.
Everything.
Like nothing is absolutely private. And as a matter of fact, I have to look for the video. I don't actually I did a video and I think it was taken down. Was on Adobe, Microsoft, a bunch of these big companies that everybody uses for the most part. There's some kind of software or something. Oh, and Intel, that they created this thing where that nothing is private. They can access anything and everything, even if you're offline.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but
nope, it's true.
When you have to accept anything, it doesn't matter. I'll find that info for you because I don't want to just misspeak and because it's been a while since I did it, but they have it now where even if you're not using it doesn't matter. What you have, they have access to.
Yeah,
they have access to it.
And
it was something they proposed, and then when people started getting pissed about it, like yours truly, always something happens in the public. I know I'm a conspiracy theorist, because the attention span is like this, right here. Look, something golden right here, shiny. Look over here, and then all of a sudden, that just passed on like nothing.
Yeah,
it just went right through, and everybody out of sight, out of mind. But and I know I just went on that little rant, but with the VPNs and everything, look, if you want to disguise things, and you want to, I'm not encouraging anything illegal, but whatever it is that you're doing, right, and you want to do VPNs help? Yeah, they do. Is everything? No, people could get anything they want.
Yep.
You know what I mean? In this digital world,
just get over that.
The thing is, the cat and mouse game is making it as difficult as possible. So that's where I talked about it last week.
Yes.
You want to create as many hops as possible in between those connections.
That's what I do. I always joke with people, hey man, when you walk away from your computer, there's a show called How It's Made. Just look at that. Throw the dogs off. You don't have to watch a cat fight. I like cats. Okay, well, look at the kitties, and I'll leave my stuff on 2 kittens, and I walk away, and I'll dirty my trail up with How It's Made. I look at things that are out of context for the algorithm. You don't have to go dirty. You don't want to be looking at porno and stuff like that. But you just look at the stupidest stuff, man. Look at the Shrek cartoons and do other things. Assume that somebody's following you on a trail and just dirty it with stupid stuff. It's easy to do. If you're gonna go make a chicken pot pie, then leave it on How It's Made on your computer, how they cork bottles.
Oh, that makes sense.
And just think about this. One last thing I'll just say. When we want to install something, right, an app or a program or whatever, and just before you do, you have to put that check in. You accept the terms, otherwise you can't install the software, can't use it. Now, I know a lot of people say, I read that. No, you don't. Majority of us, even myself, as a 30-plus year tech person, will click that little thing just so I could get the program installed. And a lot of those terms, that's why a lot of them are 1,500 pages long, too, right? Like that. There's a lot of stuff in there that basically tells you, they own you. Basically, if you're using our software, we have the right to this, we have the right to that. If you want to download something that just puts a filter on your phone to take pictures, what the Do you need my access to my contacts, to my friggin' this server, that server, and everything under my phone, just so I can add that filter?
Yeah, and also add things like spam art, like people carving statues out of spam. Save the page. Look at walk away and do stupid how it's made, spam art, different types of skunks. Put stupid shit because people go right into what they want to look at, and then that's where the information they get, and they put it into an algorithm, and you get it fed back to you. Now, if you throw in spam art or cat videos or how it's made, you have to dirty the water. You have to clean up the steps behind you because they're always going to watch you. The idea is to mislead the algorithm. It's just a computer. That's it. It's only a computer.
Please pay attention to what I said before, everybody.
Yeah.
Like, please, even if you have to take screenshots every day once, when you open up YouTube or whatever, look at all your recommended videos on your page and then watch how that starts changing, like to things that you'll never watch before anything. And what that tells you is, so you could, why I said screenshots, so you could keep track of what you were looking at. It'll show you what they're pushing you away from.
Yeah, I have a whole page on how to clean records and album covers. I look at dumb stuff. Look at stupid stuff, people.
We're gonna wind down right now. We're gonna end the show soon. But one of the main things I think I've learned today on the show, we shouldn't be worried necessarily about mutation of a human to build a super soldier. The super soldier is basically gathering the information on how people think.
Information. Yes.
That's the more incredible information of creating your whole army as a super soldier by learning.
That's what they do.
How people think and what do they need,
Yeah, there is no more war, guys. There's nobody fighting each other. We got drones that could drop anything anywhere. Wars are fake because we have the technology now to end a war in 2 days. It's the super soldier that is the smart nerd and behind the computer that's going through your algorithm and looking up your stuff. It is data collection, data mining. Yeah. They're data mining everybody. That's what a super soldier is now, a data miner.
That's exactly what it is now.
Yeah, now throw them off the trail. Spam art is brilliant.
Well, what do you guys got coming up this weekend?
Go for it, Rod.
I'm going to repeat the answer I gave last week. Nothing. No, actually, that's not true. I'll see what I'm doing because I told you I decided to start building another gaming rig. That's what that mess is back there. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow because I'm setting up another studio in the garage like that. And cool. I'm going to bring back the dioramas like that. I'm going to start doing the dioramas again. So that's why I'm building that. So maybe I'll do something tomorrow. I usually do a Saturday 3 p.m. show. So I don't know. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I won't be on for a couple of days. I'll be on for a couple of days. I'm going to be at my cousins have I already told Eric, the Christian retreat place. It's like 15,000. I'm not a Christian, but there's free food and there's game fishing. You win prizes.
I love this dude, man.
And there's horseshoes and I'll go and have a good time. There's no alcohol involved in the entire.
He's the wedding crasher. That's what
is your cousin. Is our cousin Gary going to be there?
Yeah, he's coming over today. We're gonna be. He just bagged. Well, he bagged the buck. He's got a buck. He's gonna bring it over. We're gonna make some sausages. We're gonna cut him up. We're gonna butcher a deer today, and then we're leaving about 4 a.m. and then we're gonna go up to this huge area where there's gonna be this mass Christian retreat thingy. I'm just gonna go have a good time. Again, wedding crash it, right?
Well, I know, tomorrow I'm gonna be doing like a Mary Island incident, kind of like a research where we start from here, take the ferry boat, we're going over to Vashon Island, and then we're gonna go towards where the T-bomber crashed. Because I'm going to try to do a small documentary where I'm getting to the point where I think the whole Roswell incident was all made up to cover up this story.
I agree with you, by the way.
Because this story came out 2 months before Roswell, and I think the Roswell might be created on purpose to get people off of this story. And I'm going to try to do some why I think that. I'm not trying to tell people that, hey, I'm changing the game here. Why I think that Roswell is a complete setup for this truth.
Yeah, because the reason why I'm going to agree with it, I'll be real fast, is that the difference between the two is that the story that you're talking about outside of Des Moines, the spacecraft picked up its debris and left. It spread itself apart, but it cleaned up its own garbage. As in Roswell, you have an advanced culture that can't pick up their own mess. And they can levitate anything. They can't pick up their garbage. They left it, and all of a sudden there's debris everywhere. However, the one over there, Eric, there was debris, but it somehow picked up some of its debris and cleaned up after itself. I don't know.
Like I said, I'm going to gather everything together. I'm going to try to make what I'll make my case.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to rewrite history, but I'm rewriting the case. So beyond that, I want to thank everybody. I think today was awesome. I love these kind of topics. It just it makes you think, right? It really makes you think. Now I'm not worried about making
BlackRock makes you think.
I'm more worried about countries know how we think.
BlackRock makes you think. Yes.
Yeah, almost everything you have on it in your food cabinets at home and everything, they probably own part of it.
They own it.
I'm not kidding you.
I know. I'm in the throes of the research myself, and I never knew they've owned so much stuff. And I'm like, Men in Black. No, this is a conspiracy. Men in Black, Blackwater, strange new photographs of 9/11 with guys in dark suits standing behind there being sinister. They're showing up in everything. There is so many of these guys showing up in everything. And I had a strange lady show up to my house in Des Moines, and she was way out of context. I'm like, I don't know. Where are you from? Did you get your clothes out of a secondhand store?
Women show up all the time. You're a good-looking guy.
Yeah, they do, though. But this one was way out of character, and it was in Des Moines, and I'm like, you don't seem like you belong here.
But beyond that, everybody, thank you for being here today. I appreciate it. And we'll see you all next time on the Paranormal Highway.